the biggest problem that I run into with new agents is that they put other things first over their business just because they don't have a time clock that they're punching. They think that they can just go take care of whatever problem comes up. And then at the end of the day, they go, well, I didn't make my calls. I didn't go do my door approaches, but I'll do double tomorrow attitude. And it just never works.
What is up? Welcome back to the CA Power Player Podcast. I'm your host, Cody Askins, and today we have someone, man, that I've known for a little while. I've seen him in his element helping agents on a couple different occasions. He is from Utah. Here's what's really cool. The name of his company is Blackhawk Insurance. They specialize in the senior products, mostly Medicare. He's been doing this 14, 15 years. His current book, here's what I love. Like when I talk to people like this, I like to know, like, hey, are they just building a team? Are they just selling? Are they doing both? Both is not easy, by the way, but he is doing it at a very high level, both. His current book of clients, 550 to 600, also about 20 active agents. He doesn't want to work with a ton, but he wants to help some succeed, which is amazing. And so please welcome to the channel for the first time ever, Mr. Matt Mortensen.
Hey, good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, buddy. Thank you, man. Did you always see yourself selling insurance?
Man, I never did. It's like one of those things when they ask you what you want to be when you grow up, insurance agent never crosses your mind, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It kind of found me more than I found it, believe it or not. So,
what was was it a friend? Was it like a career change? What was the?
It was. So I started out selling real estate in late 1999, 2000.
Okay.
Really enjoyed it. Loved working with first-time buyers. It was kind of my passion, helping those folks, go through that confusing process and get it figured out. Then we had that big downturn in 6, 7, 8, and things got a little dicey. And during that time, I kind of decided, man, I don't want to have to go through this. That was a lot of stress and heartburn going through that. So, From that real estate career, I met a guy by the name of Ty Brady, who's been on your channel a lot. Some people might be probably familiar with him.
He's a good dude, man. Good dude.
And so he started. I think he got introduced in the insurance world by his brother, and after he got established, he looked me up and said, "Hey, I think you'd really enjoy this. You got to take a look at it." And it took him probably a year of like just hassling me to say, "Hey, you got to come do this. You don't know what you're missing." And so I finally did. And man, my only regret is I wish I would have started it 20 years sooner than I did.
That's awesome, man.
That's such an amazing industry.
Yeah. What do you love so much about it? I totally agree. I think there's a lot of agents that'll listen to this that are new, or they haven't chosen insurance yet, or they're like trying to figure it out. Why?
Yeah. No. So, I mentioned I loved working with first-time home buyers and getting to know those people, getting to know their families, working with them, helping them through that process. But once you sold them a house, they didn't need you anymore. You were done and they were gone, and you had to move on to the next one. So with insurance, I'm able to do that same thing, help walk people through Medicare, help them understand this big, complex, confusing program that they're being shoved into, whether they like it or not. But then the beauty of it is I get to build those same relationships, but have them, a lot of times until they die. I mean, that's kind of the reality of this business is your book literally dies off. So, being able to help them, being able to then, I've got children of clients now insured, so being able to connect, be a resource to them as they go through the later stages of life and help them and their families navigate that is the most rewarding part of this industry to me.
That's awesome, man. It's interesting. I didn't even think about it that way, but you're right. You were helping first-time home buyers with real estate. Now you're helping first-time Medicare buyers. You know, it's like, that's cool. Yeah. It's probably, I'm guessing Medicare to a senior is more confusing than buying a first home to a first-time home buyer, or no?
I think they're pretty comparable. Not being able, going down a path that you've never been down and not knowing what pitfalls are going to be there or what bumps in the road you're going to cross, and being able to prepare somebody for those. None of us have a crystal ball, of course, but having gone down that path with so many people before, you kind of know what to expect. And, you can prepare them a lot of times before things happen from past experiences and, just help make that whole process more comfortable and more seamless for them so that they don't end up, getting in trouble.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, also, what have you noticed? So we're gonna have a ton of agents to listen to this. Also, as you guys listen to this, let Matt know what you're enjoying about this episode and where you're finding value as you're taking notes, because this guy's got a wealth of knowledge and he helps agents become successful. We have a bunch of agents that are maybe new, struggling, or maybe they're lower six figures, but they're wanting to build something bigger like you have, heavy 6, 7 figures. What advice would you give to them? And what advice have you given to these 20 active agents that are producing and doing well?
You have to have a plan, and you have to be consistent, and you have to work the plan.
Mm,
Whether that is setting 2 hours a day aside to prospect, whether you're going to do it on the weekends, every night, you have to have a plan, and you have to hold yourself accountable. The biggest
mm,
problem that I run into with new agents is that they put other things first over their business just because they don't have a time clock that they're punching. They think that they can just go take care of
that's good.
whatever problem comes up. And then at the end of the day, they go, well, I didn't make my calls. I didn't go do my door approaches, but I'll do double tomorrow attitude. And it just never works.
No.
Agents have to have the same mindset of, this is your job. If you had that same, whatever catastrophe it was that day that you had to manage and you had to be at an office building, you would have figured out how to do that without you physically being there handling that issue. And
True.
so keep holding yourself accountable, staying consistent.
Mm.
It's going to work.
Yeah, 100%. It is. If you will, just like you said, if you will stay consistent long enough, man, some amazing things will happen. You'll start building a book of business. Wake up and like Matt, making some really good money, helping some amazing people, whether it's consumers or agents. I love that. That's super simple. Have a plan, be consistent, and work the plan. I think that's where I do agree. A lot of people, that's where they go wrong, is like, they struggle to get in front of people and succeed, or they know how to get in front of people. They just don't put in the work to get in front of people. Where do you, how, if an agent came to you, say they were brand new and they wanted to specialize in the senior and Medicare market, what would you say is like some of the best ways to consistently get in front of people?
Number one thing is you have to let everybody what you're doing.
Mm,
Don't just keep yourself a secret. You have to just say, this is what I'm doing. You have to be excited about it. I'm helping people with Medicare. In this case, we're in the senior market. Just because you're talking to somebody that isn't eligible, they know people that are eligible. They want to be able to refer people to somebody that will take care of them. So let everybody know what you're doing. Some of my most successful agents find business in the most kind of weird ways, for the lack of a better term. They
yeah.
find a little niche that is just like, I would have never thought of that. And they are getting, dozens of clients a year out of that. So, I like to have a conversation with all of my team members and go, okay, what's your background? Let's tap into that. Let's see how we can make this new, career that you've chosen
Yeah.
fit in with what you've done. Let's take
Mm,
advantage of that first before we go spend a bunch of money on leads or advertising or, all those other things that are out there. Starting at your base, talking where your feet are, letting people know what you do is by far the best place I feel like is to start with this or
yeah.
any business.
Why are we afraid to let friends and family and social media, et cetera, know what we do?
Man, I think it's probably a fear of coming off as maybe nobody wants to be the pushy salesman.
Yeah.
Um, I think, in Utah, we're the multi-level marketing capital of the world, I believe. So in our market specifically, you're always being hit up about the next MLM, whether it's Noni or Amway or whatever. I think there's a component of that if you don't want to come across as maybe gimmicky.
Mm,
But that's not this. Like you have a real product and a real service that you're selling that people need. Um,
that's right.
and you don't have to come. This is an industry where you don't have to come across as pushy at all. You just have to let people know what you do and let them know you can help, and then just be able to answer questions
True.
and take everyone they call. So
Yeah. What's been one of your favorite ways to get in front of people over the years? Like personally, is there like a niche that you found or something unique that worked well for you?
I have really enjoyed working in senior living facilities with that group of people
Mm,
as they have progressed through the Medicare ranks, maybe, or they've got older and their needs change. Now they're using their policy even more than when they were 65. When they were younger, right? Um, but working with them, working with the families, really in that setting, you're working more with the families than you are with the client, and the families get thrown into the fire when mom and dad start having health issues. Mom and dad don't communicate things well of, hey, this is what I have, this is what's going on, so it's like, oh well, mom, one of them had a stroke or we've got some dementia going on, and
mm,
now kids are just trying to put the pieces together. So being able to be a resource for those folks and really help them understand what they're doing, connecting them with other services that I have relationships with, that home healthcare providers, hospice, whatever the case may be. um, that's a really, it can be sensitive at times having those conversations with children of like, hey, are we talking hospice, is end of life, are we really going to take care of them the same as if they were 65, as far as surgeries go, or that type of thing. So I've really enjoyed that. It's opened my eyes to the education that actually needs to happen with our clients, saying you need to get your children involved ahead of time, right? It kind of
mm.
opens the door even for some more estate planning conversations, that power of attorney type stuff, just helping them maybe get ahead of it more so than when I run into. Most people are not ahead of it. It's all reactionary in that setting.
Yeah.
Um, so that's really rewarding, and is very needed with
Yeah.
with those folks. So
I mean, you probably find I don't know, how often do you find people that have, maybe they, don't have their most up to date correct plan, or they haven't received help on any of this for a long time, like you mentioned, assisted living facilities or senior living facilities.
man, I would say, probably conservatively 7 out of 10 people
Wow.
haven't really prepared for it. It's kind of like, yeah, it'll never happen to us type thing. Um,
Dang.
I've been shocked by it on,
Wow. What all do you help them with outside of just Medicare, or is that the main thing?
mainly Medicare. At that stage, there's not a lot we can do as far as product, right?
Yeah.
Health wise, the condition is probably progressed to where we're just reacting, and we're trying to, maybe navigate to, the next few years or few months of their life during that time. But it has really, I guess, solidified the need to talk about other things up front, right? When they're 65 to 70, when they can still qualify for a nursing home plan, or we need to get your estate in order. What about burial? Do we need to talk about a final expense plan?
Hmm.
Um, I think as salespeople, we're hesitant to go back and talk about those programs with our clients. You got several hundred clients that have already done business with you. They know you, they like you, they bought one thing from you. As agents, we need to go back and be able to have those hard conversations and say, have you done these things? Um, you need to, and have them, be the person or the source that can help start those tough conversations with their family, and try to get ahead of it, so the children, or some people don't have kids, so then it's sisters or sister-in-laws or brother-in-laws, whatever, have been thrown into there, and there's just lack of planning. um the saddest thing is, I've tried to help people track down life insurance policies, and that's like finding a needle in the haystack, especially if they're not paying for them and they're not being drafted onto a bank account. I don't know how to help you.
It's like, how do you know? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
unless you find it randomly in a safety deposit box or under a bed or in a filing cabinet or a safe, it's like, I mean, I wish that was like a thing. Like, you could call this number to see if your family members ever had any policies.
yeah. I had one client, they did that. They finally called and said, I'm pretty sure my mom has an insurance policy here. It took them almost a year
No way.
working with that insurance company to get those funds released, and the amount of hoops and that they had to jump through. It was like, oh my gosh, if they just would have had the policy and kept it up to date. The beneficiary had died. It was a mess, but we got it fixed, and thank goodness they stuck with it. But
Yeah.
Yeah, the biggest thing to agents out there is encourage your clients to take care of these things, because it will happen to them, right? You never know. You could have a stroke in the middle of the night and everything changes, and you've got to have those things figured out beforehand.
True. You strike me as someone, an audience, you guys tell me if I'm wrong in comments below. Matt strikes me as someone who cares a lot about your clients, and service is an extremely important piece of what you do. Is that accurate? If so, why?
100%. If you've worked for somebody, if you've worked with somebody for multiple years, you see them every year, it's just hard for me not to start caring about these folks, right? You get to hear their experiences. When you go back, when I go back for a client review during the open enrollment season, it's just not a quick in and out, how things change. Okay, great, sign this application. It's, we talk, we get to know, we catch up on things. So, it just happens naturally that it's like, yeah, I do honestly, sincerely care what happens to them. It's tough sometimes. The ones that, when they die, the ones that are closer to you.
Yeah, I believe that for sure. What are some of the things you do for agents that are they're getting okay at acquiring business, but they're not? They're probably they're missing the boat. They just haven't been trained or helped from a service standpoint. How are you retaining? Because you said that, like, you like to keep your book size around 550 to 600 before we even got on the podcast. I'm like, man, that shows me that you keep track of your numbers. You try to keep as many as you can, and then you only add them if you need them or somebody needs help, but you're not trying to try to service a bajillion people.
Right. Yeah. I'm not out actively doing all the marketing and door knocking and things like that. It's just working referrals and some of those referral partners that I have. But you have to remain in front of your your current clients. They are getting marketed to like crazy. And, so we do all the basic stuff. We do, a birthday card. We do, kind of an after sell follow-up program of a sequence of, follow-ups to kind of say, hey, we sold you the policy. Now let's make sure you review it. You have your new cards, make sure you throw your old card away. Don't keep carrying that one around in your wallet. We're not accumulating insurance cards. And then helping them let their providers know, like, hey, we've made some changes, call the pharmacy, kind of walk them through those steps of making a transition, whether that be off of a group plan when they're turning 65, or if they're, later down the line and you've picked them up during an AEP change or something like that. We do a newsletter quarterly that's still print.
It's awesome.
I don't do a lot of social media or email or stuff. We still go old school, like print.
I love that. I used to do one every month, and it was a lot of work. Quarterly is a better move. That's cool. You still do it in print, though. That's great.
Yeah. We went quarterly. Monthly was too much.
I tried doing it. It was like, holy freak. Yeah, it's a lot. But do you put, like, like recipes or like what do
We
you do?
do. We
See?
do. We try to keep it lighthearted. We do
Cool.
like an industry piece. You know, people want to be up to date with what's going on in the industry. They want to be able to have some, you know, some tidbits they can drop at coffee or lunch with their friends or whatever.
Yeah.
We do a recipe. We do some fun, lighthearted stories. We do some, you know, some jokes.
That's cool.
You know, we just did our summer one, and we did kind of some, you know, top 10 Utah day trips to go see some of the beautiful scenery we have here in our state. And we did that, you know, as a team. We kind of came up with, you know, our top 10,
Hmm.
you know, as a group, and then just shared those. Trying to build a sense of community with that newsletter as well. Like if we can get feedback from clients to start interacting with us, like submit your own recipe. Let's highlight a client's recipe. We'll make them the star of the recipe that the people in their community are like, oh, I know her. Yeah, well, let's try this.
That's cool.
You know, we've done stuff to kind of spur some conversations with grandkids, share some memories. Like, you know, here's some things your grandkids might want to know that they've never asked. So just some fun stuff like that.
Cool.
You know, a little bit of everything. Try not to do too much print. We don't want to overwhelm them with like a big articles, but we try to segment it to where it's easy to read. And
Yeah. Dude, it works, man. They look forward to getting that.
they do.
It's
They do.
incredible. Like it blew me away. Like I would have people, I haven't sent a newsletter out in probably 11 years and 10, 11 years. And I will still have clients that go into the insurance office across the hall and will mention my newsletters that I used to send out a long time ago. How crazy is that? Like,
They hang on to them. If you look around when you go back on an appointment, you will see stuff that you sent in the, you know, being saved. It's wild.
it's insane. I used to do these refrigerator magnets and they would still be on the freaking fridge 7 years later.
Yeah. Go here. I've got your card right here in my fridge. I'm like, hey, that's awesome. That was the best dollar I spent.
Yeah, exactly. It's incredible. Well, I love what you do, man. You clearly care a lot about helping consumers, Medicare beneficiaries, but also agents. You know, you've got some cool stuff that is working, and then you're helping them be successful, which is phenomenal. If they want to learn more about you and what you're doing and what do they do, where do they go?
Hey, I am old school. You can just call me. Text me is the
Oh,
best way. You know, my number's 1-801-358-8558. That's my direct cell. So just, yeah, hit me up if you have questions, if I can help you out, and
I love that.
circle back and talk.
You can tell when people you can tell when people like helping people. They start giving out their phone number like you just did. And it's like what? But it's cool because people will absolutely text and call. So I appreciate you being
Yeah,
willing to
no,
share and help. And thank you for being on for the first time ever, but not the last. Thank you for being on the Power Player podcast.
thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, buddy. It was a lot of fun. Also, appreciate you guys hanging and listening and watching. If you have any questions, let us know in comments below. Reach out to Matt, 801-358-8558. And as always, we appreciate you listening. Share it with somebody that needs to hear this message today. And we will see you on the next episode of the Power Player Podcast.